The rain fell hard that evening, blurring city lights into streaks of gold and gray as Emily sat alone in the corner booth of a small cafe. Her fingers nervously traced the rim of her coffee cup, the steam long gone cold. She had arrived early, too early as always, hoping this time would be different. Hope was something she still held on to, even though life had given her every reason to stop believing. She smoothed her thrift store dress, checked her reflection in the window, and forced a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Then he arrived, her blind date. Tall, well-dressed, with a smirk that told her he had already judged her. He looked her up and down, scoffed, and said the words that would burn into her memory forever. "You look like a mistake." He didn't even sit down, just turned around and walked out into the rain, leaving her frozen, shattered, and humiliated in front of strangers who pretended not to see. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of unexpected love, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story, because what happened next changed Emily's life forever. She stayed long after he left, staring at the raindrops sliding down the window, wondering why she kept putting herself out there. After all the heartbreak, the loneliness, the small humiliations, she still wanted to believe in love. But maybe that was her biggest mistake of all. She was about to leave when the cafe door chimed again. The wind swept in, carrying the scent of rain and something sweet, like cinnamon and hope. A little boy darted in first, giggling as he shook off droplets from his blue hoodie, followed by a man holding an umbrella. The man smiled apologetically at the waitress and took a seat with the boy, right across from where Emily sat. He looked like someone life had worn down but hadn't defeated. His eyes kind, his hands rough, his smile soft in a way that didn't ask for attention but somehow commanded it. Emily tried not to stare, but the boy caught her eye and waved. She waved back shyly, and for the first time that night, she smiled genuinely. Minutes turned into an hour as Emily sat there, her untouched coffee growing colder. The cafe began to empty until only she, the father, and his son remained. The boy's laughter filled the quiet space, and the warmth in their bond felt like something she hadn't felt in years. A reminder that love, even in its smallest form, still existed somewhere. When the clock struck 10, the waiter flipped the open sign to closed, and the father began helping his son with his little jacket. The boy pointed toward Emily and whispered something. The father smiled, nodded, and walked over. "Hey," he said gently. "My son just wanted to say your smile made his night." Emily blinked, surprised, and looked at the boy, who was now hiding behind his dad's leg, peeking out with a grin. "Thank you," she said softly. The man hesitated, as if sensing something fragile in her. "You okay? You've been sitting here a while." Emily tried to laugh it off. "Yeah, just waiting for someone who wasn't worth the wait, I guess." Something flickered in his eyes, a quiet understanding that didn't need words. "Well, I'm Daniel," he said, offering his hand. "And this little guy is Noah." She shook his hand, feeling warmth return to her fingertips. "Emily." As the rain slowed outside, the cafe felt like a small island of light and calm in a stormy world. Daniel told her how he was a single dad, how his wife had passed away 3 years ago, and how every Friday he brought Noah here after school to share a slice of chocolate cake because it reminded them of her. There was no pity in his voice, only love, steady and simple, like an old song that still made sense. Emily listened, her heart softening with every word. She hadn't planned to stay, but when Daniel offered to share a slice of cake, she didn't say no. They talked until the waiter stacked chairs and dimmed the lights. When they finally stood to leave, Daniel smiled and said, "Sometimes the best things happen when the wrong ones walk away." That night, Emily walked home under her umbrella, her heart strangely lighter. She didn't know why she cared so much about a kind stranger and his boy, but for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel invisible. Days passed. Then one evening she found herself back at the same cafe, drawn there without thinking. And there they were, Daniel and Noah, sharing cake, laughing over spilled milk, their joy filling the air like music. Daniel looked up, saw her, and waved her over. It became a quiet ritual after that. Every Friday evening, she'd stop by the cafe, sometimes with books from her job at the library for Noah, sometimes just to talk. Daniel's presence became a gentle constant in her life, and Noah's laughter a sound she began to crave. They never talked about love or pain, just shared small moments that slowly stitched something broken inside her. But one Friday, Daniel didn't show up. The cafe felt colder without them. The next week, and the next, still nothing. Emily tried not to worry, but by the fourth Friday, she couldn't help herself. She asked the waiter, who told her Daniel had lost his job and hadn't been around much since. That night, she found herself standing outside the small apartment complex the waiter had mentioned. When Daniel opened the door, he looked surprised, exhausted, unshaven, but still smiling faintly. "Emily?" he said, almost disbelieving. "I brought dinner," she said simply, holding up a paper bag. That evening, in a cramped living room with toys scattered across the floor, they talked for hours. Daniel admitted he'd been struggling to find work, trying to keep things together for Noah. Emily didn't offer pity, just presence. She started helping where she could, dropping by with food, helping Noah with homework, making them laugh when things got too heavy. Slowly, Daniel's hope returned. He found a new job, part-time at first, then full-time. He'd often say, "You've been a miracle for us, Emily." And each time she'd smile through tears, knowing no one had ever called her that before. Months passed, and spring arrived, painting the city in soft light and new beginnings. One evening, Daniel invited her to the park. As the sun dipped low, turning the sky into gold, Noah ran ahead with a kite, his laughter echoing through the air. Daniel turned to her, eyes full of something unspoken. "You know," he said, "the night we met, you looked heartbroken. I wanted to tell you something then, but I didn't know how." She looked at him, curious. He took a deep breath. "Whoever made you feel like a mistake was wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to us." Tears welled up, but she laughed through them. "You don't have to say that. I'm not saying it because I have to," he said softly. "I'm saying it because it's true." In that moment, as the wind carried Noah's laughter and the kite danced above them, Emily felt it. The weight of all her broken yesterdays lifting. She had spent so long believing she wasn't enough, that she was too plain, too hopeful, too easily hurt. But here, with Daniel and Noah, she was seen. Not as a mistake, but as something precious. Weeks later, they went back to the cafe where it all began. The same corner booth, the same flickering light above them. The waiter recognized them and smiled knowingly. This time, Emily wasn't waiting for someone who'd never show up. She was sitting beside a man who looked at her like she was home. As the night grew quiet, Noah fell asleep against her shoulder, and Daniel reached across the table, taking her hand. "You know," he whispered, "I used to think life only gave you one shot at happiness. But you," his voice caught slightly, "you proved me wrong." Emily looked out the window. The rain had started again, soft and rhythmic. "Sometimes," she said, "the storm isn't meant to drown you. It's meant to wash everything clean." And there, in the dim glow of the cafe, surrounded by memories of pain and hope, Emily realized that maybe all those nights of waiting, all the tears, all the rejection, it had all led her here, to this quiet miracle. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that remind us that kindness still matters.